A new beginning. Officer James sat alone in his small, tidy apartment, looking around at the family pictures on the wall. Each picture told a story of love and laughter. He smiled as he remembered the day he first met the 6 little girls who changed his life forever. 20 years ago, he was a lonely cop, working long hours in a busy city, feeling like something was missing in his life. One rainy afternoon, Officer James got a call from the local foster care agency. They needed someone to take in 6 sisters who had been living in different homes. Their names were Maya, Sarah, Emily, Aisha, Zoe, and little Leah. He hesitated at first. 6 girls. That was a big responsibility. But something in his heart told him to say yes. When he arrived at the foster care agency, he saw the girls sitting quietly in a small room. They looked scared and sad, their eyes wide with uncertainty. Officer James knelt down and introduced himself. "Hi there, I'm Officer James. I'm here to take you home." The girls looked at each other, unsure of what to think. "Can we really go home with you?" Maya, the oldest at 10 years old, asked quietly. Her voice trembled a little, and James felt a pang of sadness in his heart. He nodded. "Yes, I promise. You're all safe with me." The drive to his apartment was quiet. The girls were nervous, and Officer James wanted to make them feel comfortable. He decided to play some music in the car. The sweet sounds of a familiar tune filled the air, and slowly the girls began to smile. Aisha, the second oldest, started to hum along, and soon the whole car was filled with laughter. When they arrived at the apartment, James showed them around. "This is our living room. We can watch movies here together," he said, pointing to the cozy couch. "And here's the kitchen. I'll teach you how to make cookies." The girls' eyes lit up at the mention of cookies. James felt a sense of hope. Maybe this would work after all. That night, as they settled into their new home, the girls shared their fears and dreams. Maya wanted to be a doctor, Sarah dreamed of being a teacher, and little Leah just wanted a big birthday party. Officer James listened carefully, making sure each girl felt heard. He shared his dreams too, telling them he hoped to be a great father. The first few days were challenging. The girls missed their old lives and sometimes felt scared. Maya would cry at night, and James would sit by her bed, holding her hand until she fell asleep. He wanted to comfort her, to show her that they were a family now. One morning, James woke up early to prepare breakfast. He made pancakes with syrup and fresh fruit. When the girls came down, the kitchen smelled delicious. They gathered around the table, eyes wide with excitement. "Wow, this looks amazing," Emily exclaimed. As they ate, they shared stories and laughed together. It was the first time they felt like a real family. After breakfast, James took the girls to the park. They played on the swings and slid down the slides, their laughter echoing through the air. But as they played, Officer James noticed something strange. Every time they visited the park, the girls would go quiet when they saw a group of other kids playing. They watched from a distance, their smiles fading. James felt a knot in his stomach. "Maya, why don't you want to play with the other kids?" he asked gently one day. She looked down, her face sad. "What if they don't want to be friends with us? What if they find out we were in foster care?" James knelt beside her, looking into her eyes. "You are all special, and you have so much love to give. Don't be afraid to be yourselves. If someone doesn't want to be friends with you, that's their loss." He hoped his words would give her confidence. As days turned into weeks, Officer James worked hard to help the girls adjust. He made their favorite meals, took them to school, and attended every school event. Slowly, the girls began to open up. They made friends, and their laughter filled the house. One day, as they sat around the dinner table, James brought up a family tradition. "Every year, we will celebrate Family Day. We'll do something fun together, like going to the zoo or having a picnic. What do you think?" The girls cheered, their faces lighting up with joy. They started planning their first family day. excited to create new memories together. But then one evening, while James was cleaning up the kitchen, he found an envelope on the counter. It was a letter addressed to him. His heart raced as he opened it. Inside was a message from the girls' biological family, mentioning their past and the struggles they had faced. James felt a chill run down his spine. He realized that while he was building a new life with the girls, their past was still very much a part of them. Would this letter change everything? Would it affect how they saw each other? He had to protect them, but from what? As he stood there, holding the letter, James understood that their journey was just beginning. The girls had come from a difficult background, but with love and support, they could heal. Little did he know, the letter would lead to surprising discoveries that would change their lives forever. Officer James took a deep breath, determined to keep his promise to the girls. He would be there for them no matter what. They were a family now, and together, they could face anything. A family day to remember. The sun shone brightly on the morning of Family Day, casting a warm glow over Officer James's apartment. The girls woke up with excitement buzzing in the air. It was the day they had been waiting for, the day they would create new memories together. "Wake up, everyone. It's Family Day," James called out, bursting into the room with a big smile. The girls jumped out of bed, squealing with joy. They quickly dressed, eager to begin their adventure. James had planned a fun day at the city zoo, where the girls could see their favorite animals and enjoy a picnic lunch. As they piled into the car, James couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The girls were becoming more comfortable with each other and with him. He hoped this day would bring them even closer. When they arrived at the zoo, the girls bounced out of the car, their faces lit up with anticipation. They grabbed his hands, pulling him toward the entrance. "Let's go see the lions first," shouted Aisha, her eyes sparkling. As they entered the zoo, the sounds of animals filled the air. The girls laughed and pointed at the monkeys swinging from branches, their antics making everyone giggle. They watched the elephants splash in the water, their big ears flapping joyfully. Each moment felt magical, and James loved seeing the girls so happy. After wandering around the zoo, it was time for lunch. James found a shady spot under a large tree. He spread out a checkered blanket and unpacked the picnic basket he had prepared. The smell of sandwiches, fruit, and cookies wafted through the air. "This is the best lunch ever," Zoe exclaimed, her mouth full of peanut butter and jelly. The girls laughed and enjoyed their meal, sharing stories about their favorite animals and their dreams for the future. James felt his heart swell with happiness as he watched them bond. After lunch, they decided to explore the petting zoo. The girls squealed with delight as they fed the goats and petted the soft rabbits. Little Leah was timid at first, but when James encouraged her, she laughed as a goat nibbled at her dress. "See, they just want to be your friends," he said, kneeling beside her. Leah smiled brightly, and soon she was feeding the goats like a pro. James was thrilled to see her growing more confident. As they walked around the zoo, James noticed how much the girls were opening up. Maya, the oldest, began to share stories about her dreams of becoming a doctor. "I want to help people, just like you help us," she said with admiration. James felt a lump in his throat at her words. But just as everything seemed perfect, James spotted a group of other kids nearby. They were laughing and playing, their families surrounding them. For a moment, he saw the girls watching them, their smiles fading. "Do you want to go play with them?" James asked, hoping to encourage the girls to join in. Maya hesitated, her eyes darting to the ground. "What if they don't want us to play?" she whispered. James knelt beside her again, looking into her eyes. "You have to try, Maya. Just be yourself. If they don't want to play, it's their loss, not yours." Taking a deep breath, Maya nodded. "Okay, I'll try." Together, they approached the other kids. James held his breath, hoping for the best. At first, the other kids stared at the girls, unsure of what to make of them. But as Maya introduced herself and the others, Something magical happened. The kids began to smile and invite them to join in their game. James felt relief wash over him as he watched the girls play, their laughter ringing through the air. After a while, it was time to head back. As they walked to the car, the sun began to set, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink. The girls were tired but full of joy. "Can we do this again next year?" Aisha asked, her face beaming. "Of course. This is just the beginning of our family day traditions," James replied, feeling grateful for the moment. On the drive home, the girls chatted excitedly about their favorite parts of the day. They talked about the animals they saw, the fun they had, and how happy they felt being together. James listened, his heart full. But as they reached the apartment complex, James remembered the letter he found last week. It was still on his mind, and he knew he needed to address it soon. How would the girls react to learning about their past? He had to choose the right moment, but he wanted them to feel safe and loved first. That night, after they settled down, James gathered the girls in the living room for a family meeting. He could see the worry in their eyes, and he knew he had to be honest with them. "Girls, I want to talk about something important," he began, his voice gentle. "You all know that families come in many shapes and sizes, right? Sometimes families have histories that can be hard to understand." The girls nodded, their expressions serious. James took a deep breath and shared what he had found in the letter. He explained about their biological family and the challenges they faced. He wanted them to know that their past did not define them, and that he was there to support them no matter what. Maya looked up at him, her eyes filled with questions. "Does this mean we're not really your family?" James shook his head quickly. "No, you are my family. Nothing will ever change that. We will face everything together, and I will always be here for you." Tears filled the girls' eyes, and James could see the weight of their past pressing down on them. He moved closer, wrapping his arms around them in a comforting hug. "You are all loved more than you can imagine," he whispered. "You don't have to carry your past alone. We will heal together, as a family." As the girls wiped their tears, James felt a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they could face anything. This was just the beginning of their incredible journey, and no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them hand in hand. Facing the past. The following day, the atmosphere in Officer James's apartment was heavy. The girls were quiet, still processing what they had learned about their past. James understood how important it was to create a safe space for them to talk about their feelings, but he also knew that it might take time for them to open up. In the morning, after breakfast, James gathered the girls in the living room. "How is everyone feeling today?" he asked gently, hoping to encourage them to share their thoughts. "I'm okay," replied Maya, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just need some time." The other girls nodded, looking down at their laps. James understood. It was a lot to take in. "That's perfectly fine," he said, trying to reassure them. "We can talk about it whenever you're ready. But remember, you can ask me anything." As the day progressed, James thought it would be a good idea to keep their minds occupied. He decided to take them to the park. "How about some fresh air? Let's go to the park and play. It will be fun." The girls perked up at the mention of the park. They loved running around, playing games, and enjoying the outdoors. Once they arrived at the park, the sun was shining brightly, and a gentle breeze swayed the trees. The girls dashed toward the playground, their laughter echoing as they climbed on the jungle gym and slid down the slides. James sat on a nearby bench, watching them play, feeling a mix of joy and concern. After a while, Maya climbed down from the jungle gym and walked over to him. "Can we talk?" she asked, her expression serious. James nodded, feeling a wave of anticipation. This was the moment he had hoped for. They walked a little away from the playground, finding a quiet spot under a big oak tree. "I've been thinking about what you said yesterday," Maya began, her voice trembling slightly. "It's hard to understand. I don't want to think about my past. I just want to be happy with you and the girls. James could see the conflict in her eyes. I know it's hard, Maya, but the past is a part of who we are. It doesn't have to define us, but understanding it can help us heal. You're not alone in this. We're a family, and we'll support each other. Maya took a deep breath, looking down at her feet. What if I don't want to remember? What if it hurts too much? James knelt down to her level, making sure she felt comfortable. It's okay to feel that way. You don't have to remember everything right now. You can take your time. But talking about it can help you feel better. I promise I will be here for you every step of the way. Maya nodded slowly, considering his words. Okay, I'll try. But can we talk about the fun stuff too? Like the park and the zoo. James smiled, relieved to see her starting to open up. Of course, we can talk about whatever you want. Let's focus on the fun memories, and when you're ready, we can discuss the more challenging ones. Just then, the other girls ran over, breathless from playing. Can we get ice cream? Aisha asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Ice cream sounds perfect, James replied. Let's all get ice cream together. The girls cheered, and they walked to the nearby ice cream stand. Each girl picked her favorite flavor, and James treated them all. As they enjoyed their ice cream under the shade of the tree, James couldn't help but feel grateful for moments like these. Do you remember when we went to the zoo? Leah asked, her eyes wide with enthusiasm. I want to see the lions again. Yes, and the monkeys, Zoe added, her mouth full of chocolate chip cookie dough. The girls began sharing their favorite moments from the zoo trip, laughing and teasing each other. As they finished their ice cream, James felt the tension from earlier melting away. The girls were starting to bond, and he hoped this positive atmosphere would help them heal. But just as they were about to head back to the playground, a sudden commotion caught their attention. A little boy had fallen off his bike and was crying loudly. Without thinking, Maya rushed over to him. Are you okay? She asked, her voice filled with concern. James watched, surprised but proud of Maya's instinct to help. The other girls followed, and soon they were all around the boy, offering him comfort. It's okay. You'll be fine, Aisha said gently, rubbing his back. The boy looked up, tears still streaming down his face. I'm hurt, he sniffed, pointing to his scraped knee. Maya turned to James, her eyes filled with determination. Can you help him, please? James rushed over, kneeling next to the boy. Let me take a look, he said gently. You're going to be okay. As he examined the scrape, he felt a warmth spread through him. This was what it meant to be a family, to care for one another, to support each other in times of need. He cleaned the boy's wound and bandaged it, smiling at him. You're brave. Just take it easy for a bit, and you'll be back on your bike in no time. The boy nodded, looking a little less frightened. Maya smiled and gave him a gentle pat on the back. You did great. You're tough. After ensuring the boy was okay, James turned to his girls. See how important it is to help others. You showed kindness, and that's what makes a family strong. The girls beamed with pride, and James felt a swell of happiness in his heart. He knew that while the journey ahead might still be challenging, moments like this reminded him of the strength and love they shared as a family. As they walked back to the playground, James felt hopeful. Together, they could face anything, including the shadows of their past. In that moment, he knew they would grow stronger together, supporting each other through every challenge that lay ahead. Discovering new strengths. The next day, the sun rose bright and cheerful, casting a warm glow through the windows of Officer James's apartment. The girls were still buzzing with excitement from their day at the park and the little boy they had helped. It seemed the kindness they had shown had sparked something special in each of them. After breakfast, James gathered the girls in the living room again. Today, I want to try something different. How about a little project? He suggested, hoping to encourage their creativity and teamwork. What kind of project? Maya asked, her curiosity piqued. James smiled. I was thinking we could make a scrapbook. Each of you can choose your favorite memories from the past 20 years, and we can put it all together. We can also add things we hope to do in the future. The girls looked at each other, eyes wide with excitement. That sounds fun, Zoe exclaimed, clapping her hands. Yeah, we can decorate it, Aisha added, her face lighting up with enthusiasm. James went to get some supplies. He returned with colored paper, scissors, glue, and markers. The girls were already buzzing with ideas, each eager to share their favorite memories. They settled down at the dining table, spreading out the supplies. James handed each girl a stack of blank pages and a few magazines to cut pictures from. Feel free to express yourselves however you like. This is your scrapbook. As the girls worked, they began to share stories with each other, their voices mixing with laughter and chatter. Maya began to tell a story about the first time they went camping. Remember when we tried to roast marshmallows and ended up burning them all? She laughed, her eyes sparkling with joy. And then we made a mess everywhere. Leah chimed in, grinning. But we had so much fun. James listened, his heart swelling with pride. The girls were finding joy in their memories, and it made him realize how far they had come since they first met. As they created their scrapbook, James noticed that Maya was more withdrawn again. She sat quietly, her head bent low over her page, cutting out pictures but not participating in the laughter around her. He sensed that she was still grappling with her past and the overwhelming feelings that came with it. Maya, do you want to share what you're working on? James asked gently, hoping to encourage her to speak up. Maya hesitated but then looked up. I want to remember the good times, but sometimes I feel scared too. What if I can't? What if I remember things that hurt too much? Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke, revealing her inner struggle. James understood her fear. It's okay to feel that way, Maya. You don't have to remember everything right now. This scrapbook is a safe space. It's about celebrating the good moments. You can share what you feel comfortable with. After a long pause, Maya nodded slowly. Okay, I'll try. She took a deep breath and looked through the magazines again. As she flipped through the pages, she found a picture of a family picnic, and her eyes lit up. Can we put a picture like this in our scrapbook? I remember that day. Absolutely, James said, smiling. That was a great day. We had so much food, and you girls played tag in the field. Maya's smile grew wider, and soon she was laughing with the others again. As they continued to work, James felt a sense of hope. The scrapbook was becoming a tangible representation of their journey together, a mix of joyful memories and a glimpse into the future they were building. Later in the afternoon, as the girls began to finish their pages, James suggested they take a break. How about a little dance party? He asked, hoping to lift the mood even more. The girls cheered and jumped up, their worries temporarily forgotten. James turned on some music, and soon the apartment filled with laughter and the sound of their feet dancing across the floor. They twirled and jumped, each of them losing themselves in the rhythm. It was a celebration of their friendship and the bond they had formed. In the midst of the fun, James noticed that Maya was still hesitating to join in completely. He knew she was still working through her emotions, but he hoped she would let go and enjoy the moment. So he pulled her in, twirling her around and encouraging her to dance. Come on, Maya, join us. At first, she was shy, but then she began to smile, letting the music carry her worries away. Soon, she was laughing and spinning along with the others. James felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had wanted nothing more than for the girls to feel safe and happy. After the dance party, the girls sat down to look at their completed scrapbook. Each page was filled with colorful memories, pictures, and drawings that represented their journey as a family. Look at this, Zoe exclaimed, pointing to a page filled with their favorite vacation memories. This was the best trip ever. James beamed with pride. You all did such a great job. This scrapbook is beautiful. As they flipped through the pages, Maya pointed out her favorite memory. This one. The time we went to the beach and built the biggest sandcastle. That was so much fun. Lee agreed, her eyes sparkling. James felt a sense of accomplishment as he watched them share stories and laughter. He knew that the path ahead might still be challenging, but moments like this reminded him of the strength they had as a family. The day had been a blend of fun and healing, and as they prepared for bed, James tucked the scrapbook away on a shelf. We can add more memories to it any time. This is just the beginning of our journey, he told the girls, their eyes glowing with excitement. Maya, still feeling the warmth of the day, smiled at him. I like that. I want to keep making more memories with you all. Me too, the other girls chimed in. As they settled down for the night, James felt a renewed sense of hope. Together, they would face whatever challenges came their way, and he was grateful for the bond they were continuing to strengthen. Their family was growing, and with it, their resilience and love. The unexpected visitor. A few days later, the girls were in high spirits as they continued to create new memories together. The scrapbook they had made became a cherished part of their daily lives, inspiring them to share stories and laugh even more. James felt proud of how they were growing closer and how each girl was beginning to express herself more openly. One sunny afternoon, while the girls were playing in the living room, James received a phone call. He answered the call, listening intently. "Hello, Officer James speaking," he said. "Hi, Officer James, this is Detective Wilson from the precinct." The voice on the other end said, "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." James looked over at the girls, who were busy playing a board game, and nodded. "No, not at all. What can I do for you?" "I wanted to let you know that we have received some information regarding the case of the girls you adopted. It seems there might be some developments. Can we meet to discuss this?" James's heart sank slightly. He knew that there were still lingering questions about the girls' past, and that the truth about their biological family was a delicate subject. "Of course, Detective. I can meet you at the precinct. What time works for you?" "Let's say an hour from now," the detective replied. "Sounds good. I'll see you then," James said, feeling a mix of anxiety and determination. He knew he had to remain strong for the girls, no matter what news lay ahead. As he hung up, he took a deep breath, trying to shake off the nerves. He walked into the living room, where the girls were laughing and playing. "Hey girls, I have to step out for a little bit. I'll be back soon." "Where are you going?" Leah asked, tilting her head curiously. James forced a smile. "Just a quick meeting at work. You all stay here and have fun, okay?" "Okay." They chirped in unison, their eyes back on the board game. James left the apartment and headed to the precinct, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. He couldn't help but worry about what the detective might say. Would they find something troubling about the girls' past? He thought about how far they had come and how much they had all grown together. The thought of anything jeopardizing that scared him. When he arrived at the precinct, he was greeted by Detective Wilson. The detective was a tall man with kind eyes, and he led James to a quiet conference room. "Thanks for coming, Officer James. I appreciate it," he said as they sat down. "Of course. What's going on?" James asked, his heart racing slightly. Detective Wilson opened a folder on the table, pulling out some documents. "I wanted to update you on the girls' case. We received a report about their biological family, and it seems there might be some interest from them in reconnecting." James's stomach dropped. He hadn't expected this. "Reconnecting? What do you mean?" The detective continued. "We found some relatives who are looking for them. They've expressed a desire to meet the girls. We thought it was important to inform you as their guardian." James rubbed the back of his neck, feeling a mix of emotions. "I see. Have they had a chance to meet them yet?" "Not yet. We wanted to talk to you first about how you'd like to proceed. This is a sensitive matter, and we want to ensure the girls are ready for it," the detective explained. James took a deep breath. He knew this was a pivotal moment. He cared deeply for the girls and wanted to protect them from any pain their past might bring. I want to do what's best for them, but I also want to ensure they feel safe. Can we meet with the relatives first to understand their intentions? That's a good approach, Detective Wilson agreed. We can arrange a meeting, and you can decide how to explain it to the girls afterward. James nodded, feeling a bit more reassured. Thank you for handling this carefully. I just want to make sure they are okay. As they talked more about the logistics, James's mind raced with thoughts of how the girls might react. He wondered if they would be curious or scared about meeting their relatives. More than anything, he wanted them to feel safe and loved. After the meeting, James returned home to find the girls still playing in the living room. As he entered, they looked up, their faces bright with smiles. "Hey, Dad, we're playing a game," Zoe exclaimed. "Looks fun. I hope you're all winning," he replied, trying to keep his expression light. "Do you want to join us?" Maya asked, her eyes sparkling. James hesitated. He wanted to enjoy this moment with them, but he also knew he needed to tell them about the conversation he had with the detective. "How about we play a little later? I need to talk to you all about something important first." The girls exchanged glances, their expressions shifting to curiosity. "What is it?" Aisha asked. James took a deep breath. "I spoke with Detective Wilson today. He told me some news about your biological family." The room fell silent, and James could see a mix of confusion and concern in their eyes. "What do you mean?" Maya asked softly. "They found some relatives who want to meet you," James explained carefully. He watched their reactions closely, knowing this was a moment that could change everything. Maya looked down at her hands, her brow furrowed. "I don't want to meet them." James felt a pang of sadness for her. "I understand, Maya. It's a big thing to think about. You don't have to decide right now. We can talk about it and figure it out together." The other girls seemed equally uncertain, and he knew they needed time to process this news. "Let's take this one step at a time. Okay, we'll talk more about it tomorrow, and you can share your feelings. Whatever you decide, I'm here for you." With that, James encouraged them to return to their game, but he could see that the news weighed heavily on their minds. That night, as he tucked them in, he felt a mix of hope and apprehension. He wanted to shield them from pain, but he also knew they needed to know the truth about their past. It was a delicate balance, and he hoped they would find strength in each other as they navigated this new chapter of their lives. Emotions uncovered. The next morning, the sun streamed through the window, filling the room with light. James woke up early, his mind still racing with thoughts of the previous day's conversation. He knew he had to be there for the girls as they processed the news about their biological family. As he prepared breakfast, he thought about how to create a supportive space for them. When the girls came into the kitchen, their faces were a mix of sleepiness and concern. "Good morning, everyone," James greeted cheerfully, hoping to lift their spirits. "How about pancakes for breakfast?" "Yay, pancakes," Leah exclaimed, her eyes lighting up at the thought of her favorite meal. As James flipped the pancakes, he glanced at the girls. They were unusually quiet, and he could feel the tension in the air. He set the pancakes on the table, poured syrup, and placed fresh strawberries beside them. "Eat up. It's going to be a great day." As they began to eat, James decided it was time to revisit the topic of their relatives. "So about what we talked about yesterday. How are you all feeling?" Maya looked down at her plate, pushing the strawberries around with her fork. "I don't know, Dad. I'm scared," she admitted softly. "I get that, sweetheart," James replied gently. "It's okay to feel scared. It's a big thing to think about." "What are you scared of? What if they don't want us?" Zoe asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if they're mean or want to take us away?" James's heart ached for them. He reached across the table and placed his hand on Zoe's. "I promise you, we will figure this out together. I will always protect you. You are my girls, and nothing will change that." Leah, who had been quiet, finally spoke up. But what if they're nice and want to know us? What if they're just like us? James nodded, seeing that both sides of the situation weighed heavily on their minds. That's a possibility, too. They might just want to know how you are and be a part of your life in a good way. But we can take our time. If you don't feel ready, we don't have to meet them right away. Maya looked up, her eyes shimmering with uncertainty. Do you think they'll be like us, or are they different? James considered her question carefully. Everyone is unique in their own way. It's hard to say until we meet them. But you can always tell me how you feel, and we can go from there. After breakfast, the girls went off to play, but the atmosphere felt different. James could sense the weight of their emotions lingering in the air. He decided to give them some space while still keeping a watchful eye. Later that afternoon, as the girls played in the living room, James prepared a fun activity to help lift their spirits. He gathered art supplies and set up a crafting station. How about we make some cards? He suggested with a smile. We can create thank you cards for the teachers and other people who have been important in our lives. Can we decorate them with glitter? Aisha asked, her face lighting up. Absolutely. Glitter makes everything better, James said, trying to instill excitement. As they sat together, the girls began to lose themselves in the creativity of making cards. They laughed and chatted as they crafted, their worries momentarily forgotten. After a while, James noticed that Leah was drawing something different from the cards. She was sketching a picture of a woman. Who is that, Leah? He asked, curious. Leah looked up, her face a mixture of joy and sadness. It's a lady. I don't know who she is, but I think she's my mom. I wish I could know her. James felt a lump in his throat. It's okay to wish that, Leah. Everyone has their own story, and it's natural to wonder about it. But you know that I'm your dad now, right? I'm always here for you. I know, Dad, she replied softly, her eyes sparkling with unshed tears. But sometimes I feel sad, like I'm missing something. James's heart broke for her. You're not alone in that feeling. I want you to know it's okay to feel sad sometimes. Talking about it can help. Would you like to talk more about your feelings? Leah nodded, her expression serious. What if our mom really wants us back? What if she didn't want to give us away? James took a deep breath. Those are tough questions, Leah, but we will face whatever happens together. I will be by your side, and I will support you through this journey. As the day went on, the girls continued to express their feelings about their past. They shared memories that felt vague and distant but still significant. James listened carefully, offering them a safe space to share their thoughts without judgment. As evening fell, James gathered the girls for their nightly routine. They huddled together in the living room, and he could see their faces reflecting a mix of emotions: curiosity, fear, and hope. Do you all want to read a story tonight? He asked, hoping to comfort them. Can we pick a happy one? Maya suggested. Of course. Happy stories it is, James replied, choosing a book filled with adventure and laughter. As he read, the girls snuggled close to him, and he felt grateful for these moments. He hoped that through their shared love, they would continue to heal and grow together. After the story, as they settled into bed, James felt a sense of peace. He kissed each of them goodnight, whispering words of love and encouragement. He knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but he believed in their strength as a family. Lying in bed that night, he reflected on how they had come together and how love could conquer fear. He was determined to support his daughters, no matter what awaited them in the future. A day of decisions. The sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm glow throughout the house. James woke up feeling a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Today was the day they had agreed to meet their biological family. He could hear the soft sounds of the girls stirring in their rooms, and he hoped they were feeling a little more ready than the day before. James made his way to the kitchen and began preparing breakfast. He wanted to create a relaxed atmosphere before they faced such a big event. As he scrambled eggs and toasted bread, he thought about how to support the girls emotionally. It was important that they felt safe and loved, no matter what happened today. After a while, he heard footsteps coming down the hall. One by one, the girls appeared in the kitchen, rubbing their eyes and stretching. "Good morning, everyone," James said cheerfully. "I made scrambled eggs and toast. How does that sound?" "Yum," Aisha replied, her eyes lighting up at the sight of her favorite breakfast. As they ate, James decided it was time to address the elephant in the room. "So, how are you all feeling about meeting your family later today?" "I'm nervous," Lee admitted, biting her toast. "What if they don't like us?" Maya nodded in agreement. "What if they want us to live with them instead of you?" James felt his heart ache for them. He wanted to reassure them, but he also wanted to be honest. It's okay to feel nervous. Change can be scary, especially when you don't know what to expect. But remember, no one can take you away from me. I will always be your dad, and you will always be my girls. "What if they're nice, and we like them?" Aisha asked, her voice curious. "What if we want to know them more?" "That's a possibility too," James said. "It's important to keep an open mind. Meeting them doesn't mean you have to change anything about our family. You have the right to choose how you feel about them." As they finished breakfast, James could see a glimmer of hope in their eyes. They were still nervous, but they were beginning to understand that this meeting could also be an opportunity to learn more about themselves. After breakfast, James encouraged the girls to get ready. "Let's take our time. We have a few hours before we need to leave. You can pick out something nice to wear if you want." The girls dashed off to their rooms, excitedly rummaging through their clothes. James smiled, feeling proud of how they were taking this step forward together. When they were finally dressed and ready, they gathered in the living room, waiting for James to give them the plan. "So here's what we'll do," he said, pacing slightly. "We'll meet at the park. It's a neutral place, and it has plenty of open space if anyone needs a breather. I'll be there every step of the way." "Do we have to go?" Leah asked, fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. James knelt down to her level and placed his hands on her shoulders. "You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but I promise you, I will be there to support you. We can leave at any time if you feel uncomfortable. You are in control." Leah nodded, though her eyes were still filled with uncertainty. "Okay, I'll try." "Me too," Maya chimed in, taking Leah's hand. "We can do this together." With that, they made their way to the car. As they drove to the park, the mood in the car shifted from nervousness to excitement. They sang along to their favorite songs, and for a moment, the anxiety faded away. When they arrived at the park, James parked the car and took a deep breath. "Are you ready?" he asked, glancing back at the girls. "Ready as we'll ever be," Aisha declared, trying to sound brave. As they walked toward the meeting spot, James felt a wave of emotions wash over him. He hoped the girls would feel safe and loved during this experience. He wanted them to know that no matter what happened, they would always be together. When they reached the designated area, James saw a group of people waiting. His heart raced as he recognized the faces of the girls' biological family. They stood together, a mix of nervousness and anticipation evident in their expressions. "Okay, remember what we talked about," James whispered to the girls. "You don't have to rush into anything. Take your time." As they approached, the girls' biological family stepped forward. "Hello, we've heard so much about you," one of the women exclaimed, her voice warm and inviting. The girls exchanged glances, a blend of apprehension and curiosity on their faces. James felt their tension, and he reached out, gently squeezing Leah's hand for reassurance. "Hi," Maya finally said, her voice soft but steady. "We're so glad to finally meet you," another family member said, a big smile spreading across her face. For the next few moments, they began to introduce themselves. The girls listened carefully, slowly warming up to the idea of connecting with their biological family. They asked questions and shared stories about their lives. James watched from the side, his heart swelling with pride as he saw the girls starting to open up. It was a beautiful moment filled with laughter and the joy of discovery. After a while, one of the family members turned to James. "Thank you for bringing them here. We have wanted to meet them for so long." James nodded, feeling grateful for the support of this new family. He knew the road ahead would be full of challenges, but he also believed it would be a journey of healing and growth for everyone involved. As the afternoon unfolded, the girls found themselves engaging more with their family. James felt a mixture of emotions, but he held on to the hope that this meeting could lead to something wonderful. With the sun shining brightly above them, they stood together, a blended family ready to take on whatever the future might hold.